We've talked about our differences already. See, this is what the liberals and the conservatives don't want. They don't want our differences uniting us. Like, we are still friends. We are still having a good dialogue on the differences
so
of
far,
our
we're only on
love.
number 5, though. I mean, who knows how
we could end up hating each other in the next 20 minutes. That's
I came into this expecting to lose a friendship. That's
All right, here we go. It is time for another episode of Cash's Top 5. We have a good one today, only because it took us several tries to narrow down what we were going to rank. Do you want the Tim McLaughlin intro?
Yes, give me
right.
the Tim McLaughlin intro.
You know him from?
Okay, are you introducing me as if you're Tim McLaughlin?
I'm introducing you as if I'm Tim McLaughlin.
Got it. Okay.
You know him from comedy. It's Ryan Niemiller.
Hey, buddy. Tim McLaughlin, who we love dearly, is he's my favorite punching bag in all of comedy. He is such a good sport. He's one of those guys like you just want to roast all the time, even if you didn't know him. Like, my wife is the sweetest woman in the world, but if my wife met him, she'd be like, "To hell with this guy." All right, here's everything. But Tim McLaughlin, he's so I've known him for years, 10 plus years at this point, from when I started doing comedy in Indianapolis. And Tim is the only person I would ever let get away with this. But every time he would be hosting a show I'd be on. So before, like, America's Got Talent and before anyone knew who I was, I never liked to talk about my disability up top. I would do 5-10 minutes about something else because I had a bit that like led into it. It was like a haha kind of thing. So I would always just tell hosts, I don't care what you say, just don't mention the arms, please. That's the only thing I ask, but do whatever. Tim would always just be like, "All right, your next comic has no effing arms. It's Ryan Niemiller." And I'd be like, "Oh, I just want to punch you in the throat. You're such a jackass."
But that's what we love about Tim. He really 100%. Does not care. And, not to blow too much smoke up his ass, but, when he crushes, like when he has a really good set, he can be the funniest guy in the room. But nobody bombs like Tim. Like, when he has a bad set, he's still super funny. Like, it's almost like he's untouchable when he's on stage. So yeah,
because he has no shame, which helps.
Also true.
Yeah,
he's just a big dumb dog up there.
Yes. Well, how are you, bud? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. We were talking about how busy we both have been, and so I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Like I said, it took a few times to get us to rank a top 5. We were discussing topics, and I already knew what you were interested in, and I thought I knew what you were going to hit me with, wrestling and video games and sports. And unfortunately, I was a wrestling fan for about 3 weeks in 5th grade. Like, when guys are drawn into wrestling, that's the time, like, we're telling everybody to suck it and calling each other jabronis, and like, it's Hulk Hogan's the heel now and The Rock is the king. Like, that's when I got into it. Unfortunately, like football and basketball, that switch flipped at the same time, and I just diverted away. So wrestling was out for me. I wouldn't have.
We could have talked about that 3-week period. I know a lot about wrestling. You could have told me the exact 3-week period, and I could have ranked my top 5 moments of that 3 weeks you watched wrestling.
The introduction of Rey Mysterio, the Undertaker. I mean, there was true, we could have unpacked a lot. And I've already kind of done some video game stuff and some wrestling, and I kind of wanted to do something offbeat with you anyway, something kind of weird. And we decided we're going to rank our favorite candy bars, because as guys, you're still much more in the comedy world than I am, but I'm a huge fan. Snacking on road trips and in the green room is a huge part of it. And what healthier way to pass the time than scarfing down candy bars.
Anyone that's looking at this YouTube right now can tell that we're both a couple of guys who clearly enjoy candy bar from time to time. That is I wouldn't say I'm exactly a health nut. So I'm definitely down. And plus, we're just past Halloween when we're recording this, so I mean, there's a lot of I have a ton of candy to get through right now, because this is the first time, or the first Halloween, my wife and I have lived in the house we live at. So and every time you move, you don't know what the trick-or-treating situation is going to be like. if you're gonna have a lot, a little. We got literally zero trick-or-treaters.
Okay, so you're not the only person I've heard this from. Like my folks I was talking to the other day, growing up in that, they're still in the house that I grew up in, me and my sister. And we had tons and tons and tons of trick-or-treaters every Halloween, like every year. And I don't know if there was kind of a period where new families moved into the neighborhood, but I see kids running around a lot when I go to visit them. So I'm like, oh, they'll get hit up pretty hard. It's one of those bigger neighborhoods where there's just families and whatever. They had one trick-or-treater. So here's my theory, though.
Is trick-or-treating just not a thing to
the
same extent anymore? Or because I don't know. I don't have kids, so I'm kind of out of that world a little bit.
Well, where are you now? Like, I'm not sure. Where's the new house?
I live in Murrieta, California. So it's between like San Diego and LA. But like where we live, like this is I live in a cul-de-sac. It's not like we have kids in the neighborhood who know we live there, kind of thing. It's not like I'm not old man Niemiller who's like scary and nobody wants to come to the house, like
not yet. You'll get there.
Well, I'm definitely getting there. I'm definitely getting that old part. We talked before we recorded. Right now I'm nursing injured ribs because I coughed too hard this week. So that's where I'm at as an adult. But like, I'm a very like, oh, you wave to the neighbor. That's a Midwest thing. I think it weirds people out a little bit in California, but I'm very much hey, how are you? Even if I don't give a shit about you, at all. But like a, hey, what's up kind of thing. So we had a lot of candy and no one came.
So I've got a couple of theories now. I had one, now I've got two. My first theory is my folks are on the east side of Indianapolis, which is less affluent than the north side or the south side, like the Carmel area, the Greenwood area. So I'm thinking their neighborhood kids go out to the neighborhoods that got the king size candy bars, the full size, so they don't bother picking up the crap around the east side. That's one theory. And you're in California now, so if you don't have like avocado-based candy bar or gluten-free, cage-free Reese's, I don't know that they would even bother going around doing the candy. They're probably not allowed to have candy out there.
Well, I was gonna say, how would they know if I had that or not if no one came to the door?
It's true.
Like it's not like I advertised. We got the good stuff.
You being so friendly and wavy, they're like, this kid is a transplant from the Midwest. He's gonna have the cornstarch and the corn syrup and the sugar. Like we can't go to that house.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not mad. I have
you get the candy.
I have a lot of free candy now just sitting here, and I hate children. So this is like perfect. This is perfect for me. This is the best of both. I'm just saying, I was confused that it went down that way. Not disappointed it went down that way. Just confused that it did.
That's fair. It's like when the unattractive girl doesn't want you, and you're like, wait, what? What?
Yeah.
I didn't want you. But then you kind of now you're
like,
interested.
Why? Yeah, but why not?
The rejection kind of gets to you. Yeah. So today we are ranking our top 5 candy bars of all time with decades of research and experience in our past, and we're ready to go. Niemiller, kick it off, man. What do you have at number 5? Fifth favorite candy bar.
So with my list, the way that I did it, I feel I need to like kind of mention before. This is, I assume this is the way we're supposed to do it. I'm ranking my top 5 favorite, not what I think are the top 5 greatest of all time.
Correct. These are your 5 favorites.
Making sure. Because objectively, I know that there's probably candy bars that are just generally go-tos for more people than me. My list is a little vanilla, though. I was actually surprised. I eat a lot of candy, but I think I tend to like popular candy, and it kind of surprisrised me when I actually put the list down. But my number 5 is just a plain old Snickers bar.
Okay, Snickers at 5.
I like Snickers. Like why I like Snickers is it's very. It's a good candy bar for when you need to make a decision, but it's becoming overwhelming. Like you get to a grocery store or a gas station and they have just aisles and aisles of candy, and your brain's like, I am getting overwhelmed with choice. I know Snickers are good. I'll just grab a Snickers and get out of here so I can go breathe into a bag in my car because I'm giving myself a panic attack because there's too many candies here.
Yeah, I've always been in the smaller camp, I believe, of being anti-Snickers, only because to me it's the Waldorf salad of candy. Like, don't put nuts and berries in my salad. Don't put apple slices in my salad. I don't want nuts in my candy bar. It's like when you get a brownie and there's walnuts in it. Like, you ruined it for me. Like, I want a smooth experience. For some people, they love the peanut. Like, if they get the peanut parfait at Dairy Queen, they enjoy it. Like my dad, that's his number one going away as a Snickers bar. For me, I can't do it. It's too hearty.
I mean, in my experience, in all facets of life, not just candy, the more nuts, the better. That's what I say. The more nuts you can jam into my mouth, the happier I'm gonna be. So
Yeah.
that's a big thing. I think a lot of what I have here, I could have done a lot of peanut-based candies if I wanted. I enjoy nuts in my candy. Like an honorable mention for me would be just a Hershey's with almonds. I'm a big fan of almonds, so
Okay.
that's just it's just nice. I like the change of flavor of the nuts in there, and like texture wise, I think it helps.
Sure.
So
Well,
sometimes too smooth with one, I feel like just gets like stuck on my tongue. Basically, like
yeah,
a something like a Three Musketeers, for instance. Like I think they're very tasty, but I got to be in the right mood for it because I feel like it just lives on my tongue all day. Because it
sure.
was, you know.
Well, so your number five is a Snickers. I will go to my number five, and it is a Three Musketeer bar.
Okay, see, there you go. That would have been one of my honorable mentions. I'm not mad at you for the Three Musketeers for sure.
I got so much heat at a work event once because there was a bunch of candy that somebody had dropped off. It was one of those like, hey, in the break room, there's all this stuff. Come grab whatever. And there was a Three Musketeer bar, and I was like, oh, sweet, score. And they were like, looked at me like, you like Three Musketeers? Like, they looked at me like I was like just like the poorest, dumbest person ever. I'm like,
Ah,
it's so delightful. I like the smooth. I like the light. It's almost it's the fat guy rationalization of, well, it's mostly airy and it's not as feeling like it's the
it,
healthier option of the candy
it's
bars.
the large Diet Coke with your Big Mac meal.
Yeah, man.
Essentially, yeah, got it,
It's
got it.
healthy. It's a good option.
I understand. See, that's the reason I think why I don't eat them very often is my brain will go to that. I'll do those gymnastics to get there, and I'll eat like 6 of them because I'm like, oh, these don't even count. It's like when you get mini donuts. Like if I just got a
Oh yeah.
regular donut, I could eat one donut and be fine. But with mini donuts, I'm like, oh, 15 in. They're just so small. I can just, they're little bite-sized things. I can do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about a Three Musketeers. It feels like it's healthy, but it's not. So they're dangerous for me.
It's a good point. Well, we have started off with Snickers, and we've talked about our differences already. See, this is what the liberals and the conservatives don't want. They don't want our differences uniting us. Like, we are still friends. We are still having a good dialogue
I
on the
mean, so
differences of our
far, we're
candy
only on
love.
number 5, though. I mean, who knows how
We could end up hating
contentious
each
this
other
is
in the
getting.
next 20 minutes.
I
That's fair.
I came into this expecting to lose a friendship. That's how I go into most things these days. Like I might lose over dumb stuff. Like politics, I never get that concerned about because like it's either I think you're dumb or you're not. Like whatever.
Yeah.
So for some reason that's easier to deal with. Where it's like I don't agree
Candy
with your stuff,
bars.
but as long as you're not actively racist, whatever. But like something like this, I'll be like, what the hell is wrong with Three Musketeers? I'll fight you right now.
Lose my number. I don't
Yeah,
want to hear it.
Hey, watch. I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna delete it right now. I'm gonna make you watch it.
All right, man. Snickers at 5. What do we got it for?
Number 4. I feel this one. A lot of people, I think, give this particular candy bar a lot more grief than I feel is deserved. Because I remember this being a very popular one as a kid, and apparently as an adult, many people consider this to be a gross candy bar. But my number 4 is the Butterfinger.
Okay, yeah, I feel like that one is definitely maligned for me, a pretty good reason. I think I get it, but defend your pick.
Um, Number 1, I have very fond nostalgic memories of the Butterfinger. I don't know how much that's supposed to play into this, but I got big time into Butterfingers during the summer of Who Shot Mr. Burns.
Yeah, The Simpsons.
So that was like one of the tie-ins. They had the Butterfinger. And everyone remembers the commercial. If you're of a similar age to us, you remember that nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger Bart Simpson commercials.
Yep.
But they had like the rappers with 6 potential culprits who shot Mr. Burns in there, and you could like win a prize or whatever if you had the right rapper. So I remember that was like one of those first kind of contests I remember doing, where I was like, oh, I need to go get these candy bars so that I can, have these rappers so I can win whatever the prize was, which of course you're not going to win the prize, but you don't know that when you're 8 or whatever. So
right.
It's like, I couldn't make that connection, but I really like them. I enjoy the taste. I like, again, it's a peanut buttery kind of, which I enjoy in a candy bar. The one I will give the caveat, and you might make this point as well. I can't eat them all the time because they definitely live in your teeth for the rest of the day. It is very much aggressive in the teeth.
I think that's definitely why people are anti Butterfingers. Is it gets right off in there and it's in there the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's just what your day is. But if you like that taste, it could be a nice thing in the middle of like a boring meeting or whatever you're doing. You're like, okay, yeah, I'm listening.
Now, were you a Butterfinger BB kid?
I did enjoy the BBs as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed for whatever reason, I enjoyed the BBs a little more than Butterfingers themselves. And to me, Butterfinger is one where the smaller fun size actually is better for me than the full size. Like a full size Snickers is definitely better than the small one, but the small in it, because it's not the fun size. The fun size is like the little square, little cube. But Butterfinger, that's like that one was a perfect break it in half and then the rest.
Yeah, I will say another bad thing about the Butterfinger. It's kind of messy the way that it like breaks. It gets very crumbly.
It's the nut valley of candy bars.
I can't eat those if I'm like on if I'm driving to a show, for instance. That's not a candy bar I can stop and get because it will live on my shirt. And then I have to perform with Butterfinger on me. And then people will be like, yeah, he looks like a guy who would perform with Butterfinger on his shirt.
Well, you've got kind of the reddish and grayish going on in the beard. You could probably just hide it there.
I'd like you to refer to this as cinnamon and sugar. Thank you. It's the cinnamon and sugar beard. Reddish and grayish makes me sound like an old ass man. All right, this is cinnamon and sugar. It's dignified.
No, that is super dignified. It's like the struggle meal. The cinnamon sugar toast is the beard. I like that a lot, man. Definitely.
Thank you. It's all, if there's anything I'm good for, it is accentuating my negatives into positives.
Well, I'm hoping that you can accentuate some of my negatives because I'm thinking we're gonna have some disagreements on our lists. Sure. But we will see. My number 4 for you is I think could be a controversial pick, but I'm going with the Kit Kat.
Ooh,
at number 4.
That is I will reserve comment as there's Kit Kats a coming on mine.
Okay. Well, see, when we were putting our lists together, when I was putting my list together, I wanted to make sure I was faithful to the bar aspect of what we're talking about, candy bars. And Kit Kat kind of flirts with that line of, I'm a solid. Like, I'm not, several little things, but I'm also not quite a bar. I'm a leaf of wafer. And I do not care for wafer cookies, but that wafer inside the Kit Kat is just a little sturdier than balsa. It's a little, there's a little more to it, a little more substance. And yeah, we can get into it maybe here in a little bit on your list, but Kit Kats, I feel like they get a bad rap, but they're good.
I feel they 100% qualify as a candy bar, by the way. Like, because what else would you call it? Like, what else would you, I feel, I don't know if we can take it to the board after this.
We need an ombudsman that can just weigh in like an arbiter to come in and decide like, no, yes, no.
I am willing to accept my citation if the board determines that it's not a candy bar, but it's a candy bar.
Because I have plenty of backups that can take its spot for sure.
Yeah, it stays on the list.
Yeah. All right. Snickers, Butterfinger. What do we got at 3?
Baby Ruth is my number 3. I told you I like peanuts.
Ooh, wow, that's such
and
a
that one's
deep
almost
cut.
exclusively peanuts.
Now, you said you didn't want me to call you old with the gray and but the Baby Ruth bar is an interesting pick here. I'm just gonna say that.
And I will say, maybe it is an old man thing. Baby Ruth is a more recent addition into my top 5
Really?
candies. As a kid, I don't think I enjoyed them as much because it wasn't like a popular candy. It wasn't marketed to kids, basically. When you're a kid, you're like, oh, I need those sour warheads. I need, you know, those things that are like definitely like, oh, this is kids candy. As an adult, I feel I've become a little more sophisticated, a little more dignified, and I really got into to Baby Ruth's big the last couple years. So the I think it was Spokane Comedy Club. So that chain of clubs. So it's like Spokane, Tacoma. They have Skyline in Appleton, Bricktown in Oklahoma City. They're opening something in Louisville, opening something in Fort Wayne. I love the clubs. They're very good to me. They have the best snacks in comedy in the green rooms. They'll have full size, because like some comedy clubs, like most of them feed you, which is great. Some will have little like, oh, here's some little bite-sized candies that we just put in there.
Or here's a huge container of just old pretzels.
Yeah, something like that, which is fine. I'm very easy to work with, so it's like if there's anything there, I'm happy.
Sure.
But these clubs will have just stacked with like they go to Costco ahead of time, and there's just like full bars of like all this candy. Like it is definitely one where my wife is like, hey, you want to fill up your backpack with some of those and take them home for me, kind of thing. And I don't blame her. So they had in Spokane a couple years ago when I was there right after AGT, they had just like Baby Ruths in there, like big Baby Ruths. So I grabbed a couple and I was like, these are phenomenal. I mean, it's something that you would not like based on our Snickers conversation, but essentially it is just peanuts covered in chocolate. That is the taste palette, and I am there for it. It is so good to me.
You know, it's interesting that you have a more recent pick on your list, because I feel like candy bar is something that is set in stone when you're a kid and it stays with you, you know.
Adding especially because that's how Butterfinger is for me. Like Butterfinger is one that's just like,
oh yeah,
eight-year-old me loved them, so I love them now too, kind of thing. Whereas this was like the exact opposite of that. It's like, oh, I've got into this.
See, that pick feels like, you know, because I hate wearing like pants. I love wearing shorts. I don't like wearing the long pants. So when I'm a teacher now, so when I see me like in my khakis and polo, and like this is the Baby Ruth version of who I thought I was. Like I want to continue to be the Kit Kat guy, not but if you like that peanut, that texture, it's basically like a Three Musketeers but with peanuts. Is that essentially what a Baby Ruth is?
Yeah. And the other one that almost made the list, that would probably be like, you know, 7th or 8th for me, is a very similar, I feel, is the Payday, which that's basically a Baby Ruth. I mean, I know there's differences, but it's Baby Ruth if I don't want chocolate, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
and I have Payday down as an honorable mention. We can, you know, talk about those when we wrap up. Payday is a great candy bar, but not an everyday bar. Like I have to be in the mood for it. But when I'm in that mood for it, it's like Alice in Chains. You know, I have to be in the mood to be listening to sad grunge. But when I'm in that mood, you know, it's a cold March night and it's dark and it's rainy, and I'll throw that on and have a Payday. Like but then I move on from it. That's how
you say the Payday is the Alice in Chains of candy bars.
Yeah, to me it is. Yes.
That was that tell me about deep cuts. That is that is a very interesting perspective that I did not anticipate this going today.
It's a mood. All right. I had Three Musketeer. I had Kit Kat. My number 3 is when you talk about boring and you talk about just so simple, but I can't deny the staying power of the plain chocolate Hershey's bar. It's just undeniable when you get those conversational questions, like if you're sitting in a group setting and they're like, let's all get to know each other, and you're like, this is miserable, nobody wants this.
Sure.
But they asked that convo starter, like, if you could have one candy bar for the rest of your life, what would it be? I don't know that it would be my number 1. I think it would be a Hershey's plain chocolate bar, because then you could do stuff to it. You can have it with a handful of peanuts. You can you can dip it in some peanut butter if you really want to. Like, there's so much you can add to it that just having that base level foundation. But I remember the only beef I have with the Hershey's candy bar is the wrapping. I understand it's cost effective to just put it in that cheap plastic, but when you were a kid and it was in the aluminum foil with
like
the brown wrapper around it, it was like you were looking for a Wonka ticket. Like, it was it was an
to open a
experience.
present, essentially. Yeah, it was like a little gift. I'm
I
totally
miss that so much. But for me, number 3, a Hershey's bar, undefeated.
Yeah, I would put that at my number 6. It is a situation where I find myself eating those a lot. I wouldn't say like they're my top 5 favorite, because it's a very basic candy bar.
Yeah,
but it's the base for a lot of other things that I enjoy. Like I said, I love the ones with almonds. A Hershey's Kiss is essentially just that shape of a Hershey bar. It's not like it's wild or crazy outside the box. But like, just because something is like basic and simple doesn't mean it's bad. Like, there's a reason it's still around. There's a reason there's a theme park based around it. Like there's a whole city based around, like that's for a reason. I think that is a very solid, it's a dull choice, but not a bad choice.
Yeah, it's like, what's your favorite soda? Oh, it's Coca-Cola. Oh, you're a thrill a minute. Okay, like sometimes you prefer a cherry Coke or vanilla Coke.
Good,
but it's Coca-Cola. Like it's a Hershey's bar, man. I don't know if it's the oldest. I'm sure one of these is like, oh, actually, this is from 1847 or whatever, but it's been around forever. I feel like, here's another thing. We can talk about this a little bit. This just popped into my head. I feel like the Hershey's bar still tastes like it did when I was a kid. There are other candy bars to make it cheaper or whatever. They maybe switched out the sugar for corn syrup, or they're using a chemical to produce it or whatever. Like, they don't taste the same, just like a Big Mac doesn't taste the same as when I was a kid versus how it tastes now.
Sure.
McDonald's burgers taste way different now. Hershey's bar, to me, has stayed true my whole life.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're just better at changing the ingredients to make them cheaper, and they just did like a better version of it. But I'll kind of agree with that. I do feel that taste has been similar, but it also could just be a thing too. I don't know how much of it is things have changed, or like our bodies change. Like, I guess allegedly, our taste buds change every 7 years or so.
Right.
Because there's certain stuff I didn't like as a kid that I like now, and then like vice versa. Things that I loved as a kid, I'm just like, these really weren't that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hershey bar has staying power. And it's something where, like, even if it's not like the most exciting candy bar, I don't know many people who would be like, no, those are gross. Like, I feel like it's one of those candy bars that, like, again, maybe people aren't eating them all the time because they have other stuff they love a lot more. But I don't know anyone that would be like, ew, Hershey, if they like chocolate at all, like if they be like, ew, Hershey bar, no.
Get that out of my face, man. Yeah. All right, man. We're knocking on the door. Number 2. Okay. I know one of your picks, but I don't know the other one. What do we got here?
So number 2 for me piggybacks off what you just said, but with a slight variation. So mine is the Hershey bar cookies and cream version.
Okay. Now, is this the white chocolate?
The white chocolate one. Yes.
Dude, that is such a good pick. And I thought really long about, do I want to include it? And for me, it's just a little too much like the mood. Like, when I said, like, you got to be in the mood for the payday. the white chocolate cookies and cream Hershey's bar. I got to be in the mood, but this is your number 2. So tell me about it.
Yeah. White chocolate is perfect example of what I was just talking about. Something I hated as a kid, love as an adult.
Yeah. Now that it's your nickname in comedy, like
exactly. Yeah. When I'm white chocolate thunder.
Yeah, man.
That's what I make my wife call me in the bedroom. It's very uncomfortable for both of us. Neither of us likes it, but I feel it needs to be done. It's a power dynamic thing more than anything. White chocolate is delicious. I love cookies and cream, just about anything. The Oreo Blizzard would be my favorite Blizzard, which essentially is just a cookie and cream, ice cream together. That's what I always get for ice cream stuff. Cookies and cream is just so good. And again, I don't even know what white chocolate is, and it's like created by science, essentially.
Yeah, they're like, it's not actually chocolate. I'm like, shut up, nerd. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's tasty, is what it is.
Yeah,
I just feel Hershey's just does it's my favorite version of white chocolate, I think, as well, is like that Hershey version. It's just kind of like what you say. It's an easy go-to for me. If I'm still like like a lot of I'll grab, Hershey's is always good. It's always good. And the white chocolate, again, it's the reason I picked the white chocolate over the plain Hershey, just because I feel it has a little more pizzazz.
Yeah, man. It's a little harder your pick.
Yeah, it shows that I'm gonna be a cool dad. That's what I'm saying. It's like, hey.
So do you just hold it and bite into it, or do you break into the little subsections?
I'm a hold and bite. I don't have the patience to like do I used to always do that because I'm like, oh, there's those, there's those it's cut that way for a reason. I'm a busy man. I got shit to do, Cash. All right.
You don't have time to be peeling the string cheese. Like,
yeah,
no,
exactly. Oh yeah. String cheese. I snap into it like a Slim Jim. Oh yeah. That's what I do with string cheese. I don't got time. Just put it in my face.
Okay, that's fair. I'm a break it in. It's a routine. It's a tradition that and we can talk about that for your number 1 that's coming up. Speaking of tradition, my number 2 for you is kind of a controversial pick, only because I feel like I'm the only one who likes them. Anytime it's come up in the past, kind of like the Three Musketeers, you kind of get a little side eye, like, really, this is you like this one? But for me, it's incredible. My number 2 is the Milky Way.
Okay. I enjoy Milky Ways a lot. I would put that in my top 10. If we did this list of 10, it would be probably like 9 for me. It'd be in that ballpark.
Sure.
I enjoy it. I enjoy a good Milky Way. Explain why you are so steadfast in the face of adversity.
It's just so delightful every time. You've got the nougat, you've got the little caramel all across the top. It's not too much caramel, like a Heath bar where you're kind of like gnawing on it like it's bark,
that is a good point. My thing with caramel, it's got to be subtle. I don't like things that are exclusively caramel, but I like it as kind of like an enhancer of the rest of the candy bar.
If we were gonna do like a Thanksgiving setting of ingredients, like the caramel should be kind of like the little cranberry sauce. Yeah, like it's probably the smallest sliver that you get. Like you've got a mound of mashed potatoes, that's your nougat. Your mac and cheese is your chocolate, your turkey is your peanuts. If you're like the heartier candy bar. Just a little sliver of cranberry sauce, that should be the caramel, because if it's too much, it overtakes the whole thing and it's no good.
Yeah. I mean, the cranberry sauce is so that I could have, a fruit or vegetable with my things, because I'm healthy. I'm a healthy man during Thanksgiving. So that is the Three Musketeers of my Thanksgiving dinner.
Now, the reason it's not number 1 is it is victim to does not taste the same as it did when I was a kid. When I was a boy, I don't know what, I'm sure it's a chemical change or the ingredients or whatever I don't know what kind of candy bar it is, Mars, whatever at the factory, if they changed it out, I just pictured bags of sugar just being dumped into vats. Like that's just all it is. And then pressed. It doesn't taste the same. It's still really good. So it's number 2 for me, big Milky Way guy. but it's not the same as when I was a boy. And the bars are smaller, which I can't hold it against that. They're all kind of smaller.
Yeah, that is true. That would be, that's a good point. I should have mentioned for my number 5 at Snickers. The full size Snickers are very tiny now.
Yes.
And maybe even with me having tiny hands, it still feels
like a
tiny ass candy bar. Yeah, I'm just like, oh, this is not for me.
All right,
more,
man.
Please.
Snickers, Butterfinger, Baby Ruth, White Chocolate Thunder's number 2 pick of white chocolate Hershey's cookies and cream. Ryan Niemiller, number 1 candy bar. We've kind of alluded to it. Maybe some people forgot, but I want to hear the debate. Why is this your number 1? Let's hear it.
So I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit because I could not decide definitively. But it's in the same bump. You'll hear me out here first. It's not. I didn't pick 2 completely different things. Like my number 1 is actually 8 candy bars that are all different. No, I didn't do that.
It's actually the Halloween pack. It's all of these.
Exactly. No. So my joint number 1 is the Kit Kat / white chocolate Kit Kat. I had trouble deciding between the 2.
Allowed. Yes.
Because the reason that I'm making those joint number 1, I didn't want those to be 1-2. I don't think that's very compelling.
Agreed.
To do, 1-2. So I kind of combined it because that's a mood thing for me as well. Sometimes I'm in the mood for the regular chocolate. Sometimes I'm in the mood for the white chocolate. It just kind of depends on what's going on. But I love the Kit Kat. I love wafers. I think wafers are delicious, and I feel that Kit Kat nails the chocolate. Like the ratios are right. It's a very versatile candy. If I do want to just have like, because it's good to say, like, because sometimes you either can't or don't want to eat the entire candy bar. It's weird if you have like a Snickers, because like you have to like bite, like you just have like an open like can. If you want to save half of it, you gotta like wrap it back up weird. It's like bit half open, like your saliva's on it, so it just gets like gross and weird. Kit Kats, just boom, break it down the middle, put that away, eat 2, move on with your day, get the other 2 later.
So we've established we are men of a certain size. What's that like not finishing a candy bar?
Oh, I'm not saying I do it
halfway
often.
Through.
I anytime that's happened for me, it's
this
never
is very
by
foreign
choice.
to me.
It's never by choice. It's the house is on fire.
Oh, let's wrap this up real quick.
It's something terrible's happened. My dog just stabbed a guy. It's whatever weird situation where I'm like, okay, I need to be able to. This will still be tasty when I come back after talking to the police to bail my dog out of jail.
So you can break the Kit Kat in an emergency when your dog has just stabbed a man?
Yes.
Do you break those as well, or is that just to go and chomp at it? Because to me, that's borderline psycho behavior doing that. I think you should break a Kit Kat.
It kind of depends. If it's something where I'm devouring it quickly, like if I know like this Kit Kat is not long for this world, I will sometimes just honk. It's
okay.
If it's something where I have the time to sit and like enjoy it, I will break it off. I usually break it off in 2s though. I feel 1 is not satisfying enough at a time. So I kind of do it in half. So I'll eat 2 at a time. I feel that gives you enough volume.
Do you think that counts as OCD to not break it off in odds? Because I can't do it. When I break a Kit Kat, it's 2 at a time. I can't do odds.
I wouldn't. I'd be a little wary to call it full-fledged OCD because I think that's probably a little insulting to those who have, actual. But I mean, it's the same. I think everyone has little quirks like that to an extent. It's the same. For me, it goes in the same ballpark of if I have the volume on my TV, it has to be an even number.
Yeah. Okay. So whatever that
eight's too quiet, I got to move it to 10. There is a 9. It's got to move to 10.
Whatever that is, we need to come up with a term for that, because I agree. People who actually suffer from OCD, it is a pretty debilitating disease or disorder. But whatever that is, I do have that with the Kit Kat. Now, here's my question, because I am definitely pro what I'm about to ask you.
Sure.
How do we feel about the jumbo Kit Kat?
I love the jumbo Kit Kat. You kidding?
Big win, right?
I I don't know if they make this, and someone let us know if they do. I want like the 10-pound version, like they do with like the regular Hershey's.
At the gas station that you can just get. It's
yeah,
at the top of the
like
counter.
the holiday one that you have to like use a turkey carver to like cut into. I would love that. Just like have it like be like 3 foot by like 2 foot across, and like still have the break so you can break off like one giant one at a time. Well, I mean 2 giant ones. You'd have to still do 2 at a time for that. Oh,
get
make those
the miter saw out.
Make those as big as possible. The jumbo one's great. I want it even bigger, quite frankly.
That's fair. Okay. Well, we agree there. Interesting list. We had 0 crossover.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you count the Kit Kat, we did have that, but
yes.
still pretty good though. Yeah, you get the white chocolate Kit Kat.
What if we just had the same 5? Have you ever had that? These where it's like literally because we didn't talk about this ahead of time. This is all.
Yeah, no, this is all
I'm hearing
surprise.
yours for the first time, and you're hearing mine for the first time.
I've had some crossover. I referenced my sister Melinda earlier, and Melinda. She's
I do know. I love Melinda.
She's the best. We ranked our favorite Tom Hanks movies, our top 5, and we had a lot of crossover. It was just where to position them. But what was really annoying is her number 5 was Cloud Atlas, and she's never seen it. She just assumes that based on what she knows from the trailer, that it would be her 5th favorite. It's the most hipster, annoying bullshit pick I've ever heard.
That's nonsense. Because like I'm not a big movie guy. Like I like movies, but like that's not something you give me a little bit of time on Netflix or whatever. I'm watching TV shows, not movies.
Sure.
I like my stuff a little bit more bite size, but like I've seen way more than 5 Tom Hanks movies to completion where I wouldn't have to be like, well, I mean, I guess Cloud Atlas, so I guess I'll throw. No, I've seen 5 movies. I'll just do 5 movies and then maybe make a comment to like, Cloud Atlas looks pretty good. Maybe we have to revisit this list after I watch it. I wouldn't just arbitrarily throw it on there. I've not seen Breaking Bad yet. I'm sure I'll love it. I wouldn't name it like my number 2 favorite show of all times because Bryan Cranston's pretty good and stuff, and people have told me it's good. It's got good reviews, so it's my number 2 favorite show of all time.
Yeah, that's such a bad pick. Now I am super jealous that you haven't seen it because you get to watch it for the first time.
Yeah,
and
I'm very hipstery in the opposite way. So I won't claim to like stuff because I think they'll be good. And this is a fault of mine. I'm not saying I'm correct. I want everyone to know I'm well aware this is a bullshit thing that I do. I don't think that I'm right in doing this, but if there is something that's like very popular and people are talking, everyone's talking about, because like when Breaking Bad was like on, oh, this is the greatest TV show of all time. This is so great. This show's amazing. This show's fantastic. My brain, what it does in those situations is will instantly look for all the reasons why it's not. So
you're a professional contrarian.
Yes. And again, it is a fault of mine because I'm sure I'm going to really love the show when I sit down and watch it, but I need to be separated from popular opinion because something about my brain, and it's never like contentious. I don't want to get in like, screaming matches over it. It's never that, but my brain will start going, well, actually, I think this part was bad and this didn't make sense. And I'm like, I'm just being an asshole at that point, and I don't want to be that guy. So once I've separated like where people aren't talking about it daily, now I can just watch it and see it from a perspective that's not clouded by how much of an insane person I am.
We have such a similar brain when it comes to that because I do the exact same thing. And it's in the DNA. I can't control it.
Yeah.
If everybody loves something and everybody tells me how great it is, I'm like, nah, you're wrong. And it's not even, it used to be contrarian because I just wanted to be like, I just wanted to go against the grain, be Mr. Cool. Yeah. Now there's so much great content that I don't have time to keep up. So like it took me a while to get to Ted Lasso. Everybody's talking about Ted Lasso. I was like, yeah, it's probably okay, but like I've grown up in my eyes that I accept that it is probably good. But it is always interesting when I do finally get to it, and I still like Game of Thrones took me forever to finally get to, and I can't. It's just not for me, and that's not just being contrarian. Because like
sometimes it's
Breaking
just not
Bad was
your
when I was
thing.
way late to the game on, but when I finally got to it, I was like, oh my God, it's the best television.
Yeah, I also have a thing too, and we're totally diverging. You haven't even told me your number one yet.
That's all
But
right.
another thing that I do with TV shows, and I've made some exceptions just because my wife doesn't want to do this for everything. I don't like to watch a show that's still running.
Yeah,
Because,
I want to binge it.
yeah, because one of the worst things, you mentioned Game of Thrones, this happened for me. Like, if I am enjoying a show, I want to be able to see it. I don't have the patience to like wait around for new seasons to be made. Like my wife and I are watching Ted Lasso now, and I love it. But now I'm pissed because we're through the season. Now who knows when season 3 comes out? I gotta wait. With Game of Thrones, my intention was to wait till it was done and then watch it all. When I had moved I was living in Florida for a while. I moved back to Indianapolis, and before my new place was ready, I crashed at my sister's house for a month, and she loved Game of Thrones. So she was like doing a rewatch of everything before like that new season came out. And I was like, well, I'm living on your couch right now, so I guess I'm watching this too. I fell in love with the show. I really enjoyed, like I think we were watching like the first 6 seasons basically in a month. And then I had to now wait like 2 or 3 years for everything to be finished. And I was miserable the whole time. And the ending sucked, which is a different thing altogether. But for me, it was more, the thing that sucked more was like, oh, I'm invested in this, and now I gotta wait. That's why I go back, like, the past few years, I watched like Cheers. I did Frasier, stuff that's long done.
Yeah.
That way, if like, oh, I'm enjoying this, I can see this to its completion instead of having to wait around.
That is 100% the right move, because I've made the mistake a couple of times of joining mid progress. Like I jumped in on House halfway through, so I had like 5 or 6 seasons to get through, but then there were still 2 or 3 more after that. So I was like, oh God, this wait sucks. Even though I love the show, like I hate that wait as well. And there was another one I did that too. True Detective.
Oh yeah. The nice thing is though that like now with how accessible full series of shows are, you don't like, I can easily, that technology has helped me do that a lot easier, because there's hundreds of shows I still need to watch. I'm at no shortage. I don't have to like, well, I've seen everything, so I guess I gotta start watching What Lies in the Shadows. I guess I gotta do that now. Like, no, I still have tons of stuff that I've not got to that's completed. So and it's accessible now. You used to have to like buy expensive DVD sets or hope you caught syndication at the right time, where it like restarted the now you can just like, oh, I have a Hulu account. I guess I'll watch all the Golden Girls now. Hell yeah. Which I actually started Golden Girls the other night. I'm very excited to get through. I've seen a lot of Golden Girls, never from start to finish, so I'm excited.
Your sugar and cinnamon it's showing again. Eating a baby Ruth while watching Golden Girls.
Exactly.
You're full-blown retirement.
Brush my cinnamon and sugar beard.
All right,
what's your number one, Cash? We've stalled enough.
It's annoying that we have to do it now. Good talk on TV. Again, Three Musketeers, Kit Kat, Hershey's plain chocolate bar, Milky Way number 2. My number one is, I think, a bit of a deep cut, because sometimes I'll mention it, people don't know what I'm talking about. They just don't spend enough time in the candy aisle, I guess. But my number one is the Reese's Fast Break bar.
Wow, that is an interesting one.
Because I love Reese's cups. Any kind of Reese's cup, I'm in. Like the ones around the holiday time, they got the small gold ones and the green and red. The orange, like the trees, the trees
and the pumpkins.
The trees and the pumpkins. I mean,
which are I think I don't think this is very controversial. Objectively better than regular ones because there's more peanut butter. They stuff the trees are way more stuffed.
Yeah, they eliminate the ridge factor on the edge, and they're able to pump more peanut butter mix into it. Yep. I'm into it, and because we talked about what constitutes a bar, I was not going to allow myself to include Reese's cups because they are not a candy bar; they're candy. Correct. But the Fast Break bar, while not being complete Reese's cup mixture. There's some like nougat mixed in or whatever. To me, it's a perfect bar. It's amazing.
I think those are very, very good. But the only kind of counterpoint I would give to that is that as tasty as they are, my brain never thinks to pick those over Reese's cups. Like given the choice, if I only had candy bar options, sure, I would be very happy with that. However, if I go in there, my brain's looking for Reese's cups first. I don't even remember that exists when I'm in that moment, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. But because I do the same, or I used to do the same thing, but I realized you get so much more bang for your buck with the fast break bar that unless you're getting like the 4-pack and they're like the legit sized Reese's, a lot of places they've got the chintzy little 2 and they're a little smaller, and it's like, that's two little cups of Reese's. Like, no, I want the full blown fast break. It does the job. It's practically a doorstop how big that thing is. I love it. Absolutely.
Please don't use candy to stop your door. That is very wasteful. And that will ruin
melt.
Our friendship. That is just a waste of perfectly good candy. I will eat your doorstop. Don't make me do it.
So we've talked a lot about our honorable mentions. What didn't quite make the list? Is there a popular one out there that you hate and you can't stand? I mean, what do we got?
Popular one that I hate. I'm trying to think. I don't hate a lot. Anything with coconut is gross.
Mounds and Almond Joy, I'm both out on.
Yeah. Hard pass on those. This is one that I used to love that I don't like quite as much anymore is the Crunch Bar. I feel the taste has changed. That's one of those things you mentioned. I feel that whatever they changed it to, it does not have the same. I love the texture. I love that kind of.
Yep.
I love that part of it, but just taste wise, the chocolate isn't as good as it used to be.
I agree. I think it was a little sweeter because to me, the Crunch Bar reminds me of Blockbuster. Like for whatever reason, like it was pure 90s. Like when you talk about the Bart Simpson.
Oh yeah, they
and
always had
Butterfinger.
like there was the Crunch Bites. That's what I always remember seeing at like video stores.
They had the Crunch Bites. Yeah. Yes, the Crunch Bites and the big king size Crunch Bar next to the popcorn that you could buy. Is like the impulse buy to watch your VHS or your DVD out of Blockbuster.
It's your movie night. You got to have your movie theater candy.
Yeah, and Crunch Bar was up there. But you're right. Something with the recipe, it's not as good. It's kind of grainy, chalky now. It's not as smooth. So 100% agree. Didn't quite make my top 5, but could. Twix.
Twix. That was another one where because you don't break them apart. In my head, it didn't quite make this. I couldn't. Like, is that a candy bar? The same, like that one got a little weird in my head. I would probably say technically it's still a candy bar because they're called Twix bars, but
right.
Yeah, Twix is good. I would probably put that. I would put that high too. That might, depending on how I feel, that could replace Snickers.
Well, how do you feel about 100 grand bars?
I honestly can't tell you the last time I had one. I don't remember exactly what they are. I'm sure I remember not hating them. I just don't remember what they are.
They are a good time. I recommend trying one because it's got.
Oh yeah, crisp rice. Okay, now I remember. I just looked up a
picture.
Yeah,
it's got the Crispies in it, and it's got the good caramel. Like it's a good ratio with the crispy to the nougat to the chocolate.
God, okay, yeah, I do like again something I don't think to get when I'm in a store, but I do like those.
Especially when you have other options. I will say though, as we wrap this up, they don't quite count because we're talking about candy bars, but above all of these, M&Ms, I will take a good pack of M&Ms. It's like M&Ms kind of remind me of like the 50s, like you got a white t-shirt tucked into your denim jeans with the legs kind of rolled up, the cigarette pack and the folded up into the sleeve, like the combed hair on the side. Like it's very nostalgic, Leave It to Beaver 50s kind of pick. Like it's the classic all-American kind of candy bar. If that, it's not a bar, but the classic all-American candy, if that makes sense. Like M&Ms to me are just the best.
I love M&Ms. Yeah. Ironically, not the M&Ms candy bars though that they tried. That they still might technically exist.
I don't know that I ever tried it, to be honest with you. I know what you're talking about, but no.
Yeah, it was great. No, they're
M&Ms are
fine by
perfect
themselves. They're fine because and the color palette too helps. Like I would always eat the green ones last because green's my favorite color. There's no reason, they all taste the same. It's just different dye colors for the shell. But in my head, I'm like, no, you eat those disgusting brown ones first. You get those out of the way. Save the green for later.
All right, man. Well, hey, I think we did it. We got all the way through without full on hating each other.
Still friends.
Barely, admittedly. We're hanging on.
We were hanging on to begin with before this started, quite frankly.
On the outs.
Exactly.
But thank you again for taking the time. Ryan Niemiller, you know him from comedy. You can probably know him, America's Got Talent. He's on tour, going to be doing some stand-up. We've done some shows together, had a lot of fun. I want to make sure people can find you and they can follow you. They can come see you. Give us the socials, give us the dates. Where can people find you, where you're going to be? Give us all that good stuff.
Got it. So cripplethreat.com has my tour calendar on it. Cripple Threat 8 on all the social media stuff. That's the number 8 because there was 7 before me, but I am now their leader. I've risen to power. Coming up here on the 12th, I'm at in Rolla, Missouri, at a school whose name I forget. It's the Institute of Technology school they have there in Rolla, Missouri. The 13th, if you have $250, I am doing a big charity event at the Egyptian room in Indianapolis.
Oh, cool, man.
It's for the Indiana Cancer Society, I believe it's called. I'm very excited to do that. The 14th, I'm in Muskegon, Michigan at the Back Alley Comedy Club. It's my favorite bowling alley comedy club in the entire country.
Great pizza.
Oh yeah, very good. I'm very excited for that. Then Thanksgiving weekend, if you're in Vermont, I'm in Burlington, Vermont at the Vermont Comedy Club, followed by December 1st through the 3rd. I am in Naples, Florida at Off the Hook Comedy Club. Get your tickets. Go to cripplethreat.com or all those websites. Come say hello. Bring me some candy.
And bring him some candy. Dude, Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time to do this again. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go, not going to lie, I'm going to hit the store and get some candy bars because I'm really not usually a sweets guy. It's hit or miss. I go in waves of hitting it, but I feel like one's coming on. And we'll do this again soon, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Well, I got a bunch of candy here because no trick-or-treaters showed up. So put on a costume.
I'll hop on a plane. I'll be right over.
Perfect. All right, thanks,
later,
bud.
man.